Well, good afternoon to you, Meghna. Great to
Hi.
be with you.
Hi, good afternoon. How are you?
Fine, thank you, Meghna. So, Meghna, you know that all coaching conversations are very confidential,
Yes,
but this one is not confidential.
absolutely not.
You know, there are nearly 200 people watching us,
Yes,
and it's even getting recorded.
yes, I'm aware.
Yeah, so I
I'm
hope you're
aware.
okay with that.
Yeah. I'm
Right.
okay with that.
And I understand we have half an hour. So, what would you like to take away from this coaching session this afternoon?
So I want to bring up something I have been struggling for a bit now. It's a very, I think it's been an ongoing off and on. It's been something I've been dealing with. This is the area of personal fitness. And I'm a little embarrassed to say this in front of nearly 200 people that
Right.
I am not doing absolutely anything at all at this point in time in life about my personal fitness, and it is irritating me. This I want to use our conversation, if I can, to break this inertia and do something, get started with it. It is something I've been grappling with for a bit, and it's beginning to just get under my skin now.
So, Meghna, as you say that you've been thinking about it for some time,
Yeah.
you mentioned that it irritates you and you feel obviously very concerned.
Yeah.
But tell me, is there something specific which has come up now, which is making it important for you to bring it in the coaching session today?
Yeah, I think now it's just possibly triggered by the current scenario, with everybody being in the lockdown situation, and access to a lot of fitness options is restricted, and it's very easy to say that look, I could have, I would have, I should have, but I can't. And unfortunately, the truth for me is I wasn't doing anything even 3 months ago, 6 months ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago. So that's bugging me out right now, that everybody who's saying they were doing at home and sitting, and it's kind of rubbing things in for me to say that look, you weren't doing anything anyways. And that's what has kind of triggered this thought process in the recent few days. That's what has triggered the thought process that anyways it's high time I should have been doing something. And all the people who are trying to figure out workarounds, and here I am at zilch, have been at zilch for a long time.
Right.
Yeah.
So, Meghna, it's very interesting that while you're so concerned about the fitness, at the same time, you look very amused in the way you're putting it across. So I'm just wondering where you are in this.
Yeah, it's ironical. And I don't know how I gave that away, but I used to be a very, very unfit person.
Okay.
And followed by, I used to be a really, really fit person. Okay, so I have some point in time fallen off the wagon, and it's been a few years now actually, and that is what is actually the core of my issue, is that I have allowed myself to fall off the wagon and stay off the wagon, more importantly, for so long. And that is the real source of my irritation with myself.
Yeah. So you feel very concerned about the fact that you've fallen off, and it's not just last few days, last couple of years.
Yeah, it's been a little more than that. It's been a few years. Yeah.
And now you want to deal with it.
Yeah, I have to sort it in my head. I have to sort it, and I have to get back, because it's not just uh, so there is an element of how you look and how you're able to carry yourself and your health, and some basic health parameters and all of that. But when you have experienced fitness and you become unfit after that, there are a lot of things that you do differently that you've been able to do in a certain way and you can't, like, the kind of stamina you have, being able to, climb up stairs or pick up things, or being able to not get tired, or, not getting physically fatigued. There are a lot of small things, right? Having multitasking, physical multitasking. There are things where I know the difference in what I used to be and what I am. And I'm like, how have I let myself get to this point? That's where I'm at. So I'm actually really irritated with myself.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
from this state of being so irritated with yourself,
Yeah.
how would you like it to be resolved?
Oh, I want to, obviously, I want to do something about it. I want to get back, and to get back to the level I was is not going to happen. It's not going to happen like in 2 weeks or 5 weeks. It's going to take a time, because at one point in time, I was like a really fit person. I used to do all kinds of workouts and all kinds of physical activities and sports and marathons, and I've done all of it. Um, but I want to get started. I want to have some kind of a blueprint to begin, and then knowing myself, once I get started, I will pick up the momentum and I'll have the energy to then carry it through. But at the moment, I'm in this spiral where I'm, there is life happening, there are events happening, and there is this area which is just not finding focus for me. So it has had no attention, it has had no time commitment from me, it has had absolutely no action being taken in that space in life. Yeah.
And as you think about this particular session,
Yeah.
given all that you're concerned about, what would you say would be the specific goal that you would like to accomplish?
Sorry, could you ask me the question again?
Yeah, so you have a lot of concern about the fact that you've fallen behind and you want to deal with it now.
Yeah.
So in this coaching session today,
Today's session, okay, I
what
get
would be your goal?
I get you. Uh, I know it's a short time, but it would be great if I just figure out a way to break this rut, this mental, if I can just break this box I'm in right now in my head.
Right.
I think that would be a great beginning.
Right. So what I hear you say, that if you can find a way, if you can figure out a way by end of this coaching session today, then that would be great.
Yes, at least if I can see some light, then I will be able to head in that direction.
Right. And you should be able to see that light.
Yes. I just want to kind of get out of this closed space in my closed mental space. If I can break that away, then that'll be great.
Right.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So it's clear what we are working toward. We want to get the light at the end of the tunnel. We want to see the way forward.
Yes.
And if you get that at the end of coaching session today, then that would be great. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Right. Yeah. Wonderful, Meghna. And how would you know whether during the coaching session we are really making progress toward that?
I will be able to sense that, because the inertia that I'm feeling right now, if I sense that shifting, I think I'll be able to identify that.
So you will know.
I will know.
If we are getting there. I will check with you.
Okay, sure.
As we go along.
Sure.
So Meghna, you have talked about your being concerned. You talked about inertia. So it's something which you have been thinking about for a long period of time.
Yeah.
So what's in the way, you think?
That's the $1 million question, isn't it? It seems like time. I mean, the minute you say what's in the way, I think the first thing that popped in my head was time. And as I say that aloud, I realize it can't be true, because I've done it all before. Um, I I think more than time, having time, I think it's a question of managing time correctly, or being able to carve out and make that commitment, and being able to carve out the time. So maybe not call it a time issue, maybe call it a, I don't know, calendarizing, prioritizing, scheduling kind of a concern, more than actually not having time, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Meghna, you were telling me that you used to be a person with a lot of fitness, and you really cared, and you did
Yeah.
everything that you wanted to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you managed time well then.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what's changed from then to now that you are having this struggle with managing time?
Yeah. I'm actually thinking back as I was recounting, as I was recounting what my challenge is. I realized that, you know, almost no, entire schedule, my whole workout schedule was kind of built in and around my work life. um, I would work out in the morning. I had a trainer coming home a couple of days. I would do some kickboxing. I would go to work. I would go for a jog post that, because I would be practicing for my marathon. I would catch some swims over the weekend. I think there were two big things that were really going on with me at that point in time. One, I'd taken up this marathon challenge. I had never been a runner, and I had kind of decided with a bunch of friends that we would do the Mumbai Marathon and things like that. So I really needed to lose some weight and get fit, and I had no experience of running. So I had to first learn to run, and once you're in that space and you have a group of friends who are keeping you company, and also we were very competitive at that point in time, saying, okay,
Right.
did you do this, did you get your this thing in, and what else are you doing for stamina, and yeah, things like that. So I think that was a big thing that was going on with me at that point in time. And the other thing is that, because this commitment was made, and it was a shared commitment I had with a few
Mm-hmm.
people as well. It didn't seem so hard to uh, schedule. So if, I mean, as I think back, it would uh, it would be almost like two activities a day. Practically, I was doing two activities a day, which is, I don't know, which is like some hardcore uh, fitness enthusiasts, right? People who would like the Bollywood celeb variety, or like some serious sportsmen who are working out twice a day, right? But that was the frequency at which I was working out at that point in time. Uh, to say it now seems like a difficult thing to do, uh, but it was a lot of fun at that point in time. It was just happening so simply and easily, and it wasn't uphill at all.
Yeah. And I love the way
Yeah.
you are talking about it. You look so excited even talking about it today.
Yeah, yeah. I want to be that person again. I want to be that person. I don't want to be this person.
Right.
Uh,
And you also mentioned that you had a shared commitment, and then you pushed
yeah.
yourself behind those shared commitments to be there.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So what are your and you were excited about that commitment which you had about
Yeah.
marathon.
Yeah. 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 Imagine somebody who's never run to run a half marathon. It was a thrill. It was a high.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. It was.
So what do you need at this moment to move forward with your fitness?
I need to get started. Need to find a start somewhere.
Right.
I don't know if I want to be running marathons again, but I definitely want to reverse the changes that I'm seeing in my own fitness.
Right.
Um, yeah, I do want to resume. I used to love some of the activities that I was to participate in. I used to really enjoy them. I have loved kickboxing. I've loved swimming. Um, it used to be like my me time, I miss that. I want to get back to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I need to get started. I need to figure out a way to just do it. Yeah.
And what will it take to get you to start doing it?
Again, I so the last few months when I have tried on my own to start, I have started with walks, and I've tried to get together with a couple of friends and take a walk, and uh, it has kind of fizzled out at some point in time because somebody's got guests coming, or I have got something happening at home, or I have not been able to stick to a schedule per se. So I think what I need to do is then do something solo like I used to. I
Yeah.
I kind of gotten started with thinking that how I used to work out with friends before would probably work for a start,
Yeah.
and it's not happened that way, and that
Yeah.
is uh, yeah. I think what I that's the area that I can have the semblance of control.
Yeah.
That's where that's where I think I should start. I should
Yeah.
have with something that I do on my own. Yeah.
And what would you like to do on your own?
Oh, something home based at least for now. Until we see a better scenario in the outside situation. I think something home based at least to start with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how do you feel about doing that kind of a thing, home based?
I am actually I'm actually very comfortable doing a home based workout.
Yeah.
There are multiple things you can do at home on your own. You don't. I have a few props as well from the previous avatar. I do have some exercise bands and weights and things like that,
Right.
and mats and things. Of course, there's enough you can do on your own.
Yeah.
I'm kind of I'm very comfortable with the idea of a home based workout. Um, what I will need to work through to make this happen still uh, is a way to find out, especially because it's home based and everybody is home right now. I'm kind of just figuring out how and when to put this into practice. Um, I need to find some time where I'm undisturbed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you want to give it a thought as to what that time may be?
Has to be early morning before the household wakes up. That's the only time. That's the only time I can carve out a 45 minute window.
That's fully under your control before everybody wakes up.
That's yeah. Yes, before everybody wakes up and before you hit your routine, and yeah.
Yeah. What sort of time is that?
I don't know, 5ish in the morning, 5:15, 5:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
I 5 to 5 if I start by about 5:30, 5:45, I'm good. I get my 1 hour.
Yeah. And how do you feel about that? Waking up at 5:45 and getting started with your fitness?
Oh, I'm good with that.
Yeah.
It should not be an issue. Morning, I mean, it might be a little bit of a getting into a rhythm. It may take me a few days to find that rhythm again.
Yeah.
But waking up in the morning or getting into the activity or all of that, I've not done it for a long time, so it's going to take me a bit to settle settle back into that kind of a structure now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, as I examine that thing in my head, when I'm tossing it around in my head, I feel okay. I can do it. I'll be comfortable. I'll be comfortable doing it.
Right.
Yeah.
You feel comfortable doing it?
Yeah. I'll be comfortable doing it. It's just that it's just that from my experience, I mean, how it happened for me the last time around is there are some shifts that will need to happen, because when you are waking up early, you can't be up till middle of the night, and you need to kind of prioritize things during the day so that you're not burning the midnight oil, and so I will need to make a few shifts. I know it will take a few days before I can settle into that kind of a routine again.
Yeah.
But I feel very comfortable. It's very doable for me.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
And let me just check in terms of progress that we are making, because you said you will know how we are making the progress. So we've been in conversation for some time now.
Yeah.
How do you feel in terms of progress we are making?
I feel good that there is definitely progress. Like I said, that in my mind, it's been this whole closed box kind of a thing, that I'm not doing anything, and it's been that for a while. I did start walking, and then that didn't work out, and even that was a few months ago. So when I started, I was thinking that, okay, now with the lockdown, what am I going to be able to do in any case, right? So I am feeling good that there is some little light is coming through.
Yeah.
That there are options that I could practically apply.
Yeah. And I can sense that in your voice as well.
Yeah.
You feel you sound more relaxed and calm as you are sharing this.
Yes. I'm feeling a little like I'm taking back what I've parked aside for so long. I think I'm allowing that to come back.
Wonderful. And when do you want to get started with this?
So it's a weekend now. It's a good time. Sunday should be a good day.
Sunday will be a good day. Day after tomorrow.
Day after tomorrow should be a good day.
All right.
I took a few seconds. I just processed. I was about to say Saturday. Then I said, okay, I don't even know where my, where my workout outfits are, or where my shoes are, or where my mat is, or what shape it's in. And I need to pull stuff together and dust it out, or wash it out, or whatever. I have to look for a few things.
So one day to organize, and then Sunday you are up and going.
Yeah. Early morning Sunday should be
Sunday early morning is great.
Should be a start.
Right. Yeah. And what sort of time? What will tell you that yes, you are now going to stay committed and it will not fizzle out?
If I am able to do this for a couple of weeks or so, then I'll be able to sustain it.
Right. Yeah. A couple of weeks means a fortnight.
Yeah.
So that will take you, this Sunday is 10th, so 25th. By 25th of May, if you are able to continue to do it for a fortnight, you will know that now this is new way of life. Yeah,
yes.
Sustainable.
Yes. Then I will sustain it.
Yeah. And Meghna, what kind of support do you need for making this happen? Anything anyone can do, from the family, from the friends, to set you up in the course?
I think this has to be my husband.
I see. Okay. Right.
So I have to need to enlist his alarm services support.
Okay. Right.
Or at least for the first few days, because he's really good at nudging me and saying, okay, you said you were going to do this,
so do it. Okay. So that's one. Yeah. What else? Who else can support you, or any other kind of support you need?
So I do have a very dear friend. who has been, so we've been having these conversations back and forth, right? That, oh, I need to do this and you need to do this and whatever. Maybe it's a good time for us to kind of partner up and say that, look, you get back on your track and I get back on my track, and let's kind of keep watching each other's progress and keep each other honest to what we've committed. So that will be helpful as well.
So that would be another support that you would need. What else?
I think that should be good enough. That should be good enough.
Yeah.
That should be good enough for the start. That should be adequate.
Yeah.
That should be,
Wonderful. So you have a plan of action now. You have a support system, and you want to track yourself at least for a fortnight to see that it doesn't fizzle out, right?
Yes.
So that would be a Meghana 2.0, becoming fit again.
Amen.
Right. That's the commitment you're making.
Absolutely.
Yes. Right. But Meghana, it's been great talking to you. But tell me what insight you got through this conversation about yourself.
So two things really emerged for me in the conversation. I think first was the question when you asked me what's in the way, what's coming in the way.
Right.
I think what hit me, I was about to say I don't have the time. It's very easy to say that, look, there is no maid and I'm doing so many domestic duties and all of that, right? And then I realized as I was saying time, but I used to make the time, and I used to make, at one point in time I was probably spending 2.5 hours a day practically, and if that kind of time is available, then there is no way I can say that I can't carve out 45 minutes today. And it's not a question of not having time. So I think what hit me was I have stopped prioritizing.
Right.
And then again, second time, so that kind of emerged for me that I'm not prioritizing. And then when you ask me, when we're talking about the action, and what can you do, what would you like to do, and I was like, okay, why did I again depend on somebody else, a couple of neighbors, to schedule this? Again, I'm like, okay, why did I not prioritize this for myself? So why am I depending on somebody else to help me get started on a routine that is clearly important to me? So what, again, it hit me that, like, I need to do this for myself. So then the effort has to be so low came to me very naturally.
Right.
Yeah.
So these are insights which you've developed for yourself. Besides applying it for starting with your fitness program, anywhere else in life you can apply these insights?
God, yes. Yes. Yeah, thank you for asking that question, because I think a very similar pattern is going on in some other areas as well. So it's going on in some of my work commitment as well. I think it's the same thing. I need to possibly prioritize a little differently and schedule a little differently to allow focus, attention, and time to go in the places where I would like them to be. So, yeah.
So how do you feel about that discovery?
It's actually such a relief, because I've been telling myself that there is too much going on. I don't have the time to get to this. I will pick it up when I have the time. But the realization that it's not about I do not have the time, it's about how can I plan to carve time for what is clearly important for me. Yeah.
So that's the shift.
That's the shift. Yeah.
Wonderful. That's wonderful, Meghna. You think we've come to a natural point where we should take a pause for this round of coaching session?
Yes, please. This has been wonderful.
right? So how would you like to acknowledge yourself for this wonderful discovery that you have made for yourself?
You know, as always, so you think you're a coach, and you've done so much of coaching, and so many coaches, and you know all of that, and yet that's the beauty of coaching, right? Every time, so I'm glad I took this opportunity, because it did help me make the shift in a space that is important for me. I'm so glad I'm feeling a little more in charge, and I'm feeling a little more in control. And I'm just thrilled that I can get back to the person I used to be. So that's a really big one. You have no idea how thrilled I'm feeling at this point in time. Saying that starting
Awesome.
Sunday,
Awesome.
starting Sunday, I'm getting back.
Right. It shows on your face. It's written all
Yeah,
over. Wonderful,
yeah,
Meghna.
yeah.
Lovely to be with
Thank
you this afternoon. And my best wishes as you move on with your fitness
Thank you
program.
so much. Thank you so much for doing
Thank
this for me, Arvind. Thank you.
Wonderful. Bye for now.
Bye for now.
Best wishes.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Oh, there she is, Saraswathi Anand, lady of the moment, and welcome. And Saraswathi is also executive leadership and team coach. She's also a mentor coach and a PCC level accredited coach. She's going to give us her observations on how this coaching session went. And let's hear it from you, lady.
Thank you. Thanks, Priya. Thank you so much. I'm just going to take a pause. I'm going to take a pause because this is what mastery in action is all about. So Arvind, thank you so much. It was a fantastic learning experience for me. And I must acknowledge Meghna, because it takes guts to come up there. We may think it's a mundane thing, but it takes guts to come up there and say, hey, I'm struggling with this. Really, thank you so much for that. And I noticed from the poll that we had today, there were about almost 50% of us who are coaches or on the way to becoming coaches. And there are about 50% of us who are possibly wondering, wanting services of a coach, or wondering whether I should become a coach and all of that. So I thought, why not start with this? Why not start with what the coaching process is all about? And if you really look at what Arvind did, and he did that so beautifully. He actually started off by saying, hey, listen, tell me, what is it that you want to talk about, right? And from then on, Meghna took it away. Meghna spoke about what it was about that she's struggling with, and what's the inertia, and so on and so forth. And Arvind just was there listening to her, right? The first part of the ICF competencies is about trust and intimacy. And Arvind demonstrated that beautifully. And I will come to each and every stage where he demonstrated that so well. The second aspect that I also want to talk about is the contracting. I don't know if you noticed, I just made some notes, and I've almost got 1.5 pages of notes. And then only Arvind comes to the fact that, okay, what is it that you want out of this session? So he takes his time to actually go through the entire process of exploring, and so that Meghna is very clear as to what she really wants. The challenge is, if we don't go deep, and if you're not listening enough, and if you're not questioning enough, you could stay at the surface level. Possibly the contract or the outcome that you wanted could have been, hey, I'm just upset with my fitness regime. But it actually came back to something saying that, and this is what she said. Just right. So what specific goal would you like to accomplish? So that was the actual question that Arvind asked. So the specificity of that question made Meghna specific about what she really wanted from the session today. And I think that's really the entire space of how do you delve deep to come to an outcome that is specific for the client. Having said that, I'm also on my way to doing NCC. I love the deeper exploration because Arvind did not just ask questions, but he also noticed what was happening to the client. And he asked this very powerful question. He said, or he made a statement. He said, "You look amused."
Yeah.
Right? So where are you now? That was his next question. And that really brought Meghna deeper. Right? So as a coach, one of the competencies is that we listen, is that we are present. So these are the two competencies. Arvind was present to the shifts that happened in Meghna. He was not just listening to Meghna. He actually watched the whole of Meghna. He listened to the whole of Meghna to actually say, okay, so it's really about, I have fallen off. And that's when the words fallen off actually came from Meghna. Right? And that's how it moved on. Not only did he spot it there, he also spotted, and he said, now you're looking excited. And just before that, she's spoken about, I have actually built everything around my work life. And I had shared commitment. And there was a lot of joy and excitement on her face. You could see that it was palpable. And that's what Arvind picked up so beautifully. So what does a coach actually need to demonstrate? A coach needs to listen. Listen to the said and listen to the unsaid, which Arvind did so beautifully. And all of his questions, I'm just wondering, Priya, do you think anybody who's listening to this conversation would have found the questions tough, challenging, or something which was more, how do I say it, more larger? They were very simple and direct questions, weren't they? How do you think?
Yes, just so present. He was like literally watching her body language and probing and going on and on and on into it.
So powerful questions does not mean that it has to be really this bhari bharkam, question that you're asking. They're all very simple, straightforward questions.
Can't agree more. Yes.
In fact, I like to use Hindi a little bit. Ye rozmarra ke sawal hai.
Bilkul sahi.
These rozmarra ke sawal is what actually helped Meghna. And the question that turned it around, that's what Meghna said, is what's changed? Because just before that, she had mentioned, I've fallen off. Yeah. And then he picked that up and he said, what's changed? One of the great skills of listening is how many times has Arvind paraphrased? And if I were to look at that in all my notes that I've made, Arvind, you have paraphrased many a times, which has also made Meghna pause and think, oh, is this what I'm saying? Right?
It's
and then
huge.
The question. So the coach is actually listening to themselves through this paraphrase. Yeah. Please do keep me pointed on the time also, Priya.
Yeah. So we're kind of back on time, but this is so interesting and so valuable, I'm sure, to the people who are watching.
So I'll just wrap it up.
Yeah, as soon as you can. Thank you.
So started off with contracting, ensured that we stayed on track, checked in to see, are we doing well on the outcome? Very important, right? Who decides the progress of coaching? It's the client, right? So checked in on the progress, and Arvind did not let go of the action planning. I have got 1.5 pages of action questions. So Meghna, on Sunday, if your husband doesn't set the alarm, we're all going to call you. We're all going to make sure that you're ready.
ICF Mumbai Chapter.
And I think that's the beauty of it all. The beauty of it all was the trust just flowed. The trust flows in the simplicity. The trust flowed in watching the client. The trust flowed in allowing the client to be they were. And therefore, when the client realized, I'm looking amused, and why am I amused? Knows that the coach is actually looking and watching and understanding and wants to understand more. All this helped actually build that entire trust. So in short, build the trust foundation, then only a conversation will happen. And it's an ongoing exercise. It just doesn't stop at one place.
Right.
The next step is explore. Ask all these questions, watch the client, listen to the said, listen to the unsaid. Ask those powerful questions which are very simple in nature, and make sure that you have a commitment from the client. And I think through all these actioning questions, there is enough and more commitment in me. All the best. Thank you.
Superb, and thank you so much for putting that together, Saras. I cannot, I would love to add, but we're in short of time, and I would love to, share more, but I'd love to get into also questions because there are questions. So Puneet, can we have you up on the video now with the Q&A questions that the audience has been asking, and share that with the panel here. Saras, can you please stay with your video on, because you're going to be the one who's also going to be helping with answering the questions. Thank you. Can we have your audio on, my dear? Yeah, Puneet, go ahead. Go away.
Yeah. So are these questions on the top that I'm supposed to take, Priya? The ones that have been typed in now?
No, whatever you see in the Q&A, you would have kept a track. I'm hoping that.
Yeah. Okay. So what are certain tips to remember when we are establishing oneself in the field of coaching, especially for starters with no experience of freelancing? And I would want Priya for you to answer that.
Yeah, so I think what are the certain tips to remember when establishing oneself in the field of coaching is basically, I think, getting trained. Training is essential. Get your training in place so that you get to hear and learn the skills from somebody who knows the set of, not only the ethics to follow, but the process to follow and how it can be done. Of course, coach as many people as possible. Also, get your, accreditation with the International Coaching Federation, work towards it. It's a process. Be patient with yourself and it will happen. So just patience is a big thing. Saras, would you like to add to that in any way?
Just want to add one thing, and this comes up with the trust equation. The trust equation, the first component of building trust is credibility. So as a coach, as a new coach who's starting out, please make sure that you build your credibility in terms of your own competence, your own skill, and then get as many testimonials as you can. And if you're coaching well, people will come back and give you those testimonials. Both these which are important.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yeah. Here's the next question. How can we create a coaching culture in an organization?
Arvind, would you like to go with that?
Sure. Thanks, Priya. So coaching culture basically has to start from the top. The CEO and the CEO's direct report, how they conduct themselves. And if you look at the essence of coaching, it is all around listening without judgment. So in organization, all too often, we are busy telling, directing. So if the senior management can shift from the telling to listening by asking questions, then you are establishing a coaching culture in the organization. Exactly the way coach conducts in front of a coachee. It's spontaneous and it's a childlike curiosity and listening intently.
Wonderful.
That needs to be played out by the senior management. That will set the tone.
Wonderful.
I'm not going into mechanics of it. I'm sure there will be mechanics of it, but at overarching level, this is what the CEO and the CXOs need to establish.
Wonderful. Saras, would you like to add? Yeah.
Yeah, because Arvind made such a powerful point. So it's really for the need for change. And that's the team that needs to feel the need for change. And if they're actually there thinking about, yes, this is what I want to do, and having those hard conversations on a soft issue like a coaching culture is what will change it around.
The next question is...
Thank you. That's great. The next question is, how do we evaluate the ROI of coaching per se?
Arvind, would you like to do that?
Yeah. So it needs to be connected with need for coaching, because if the need for coaching has arisen, then that establishes the baseline, and reference that baseline, you see where you've reached. So that delta that you have increased is the return that you have made, and the money that you would have spent is on the denominator, basically. So we can give an example. Let's say you have appointed a new CXO, And during the interview and assessment at the time of appointment, it is very clear what the person's strengths are. And you've also discovered one or two areas where the improvement will help the person really perform 100%. So you identified the delta. Now you decided to give the person a coach. And if coach, together with the new incumbent, over a passage of say 6 months, 9 months, are able to move forward with that gap, eliminate that gap, then the performance would have presumably improved or will improve. So the business consequence of that improved performance is numerator again for the fee that you have paid to the coach.
Wonderful. The next question is coaching a paying profession in general, and especially in the current economic scenario? Saras, would you like to answer that?
Sure. So all of us are guessing, to be very honest. And all of us are in a space where, yes, there is a slowdown, no doubt about it. But it's the calm before the storm. And by that, what I mean is, the way I see it, it is a very paying profession, paying in all aspects, paying revenue economically, paying in terms of your own learning and growth and development. And I don't want to hazard a guess on the time because I'm not an economist. It is going to come back. It's going to be a crying need for everybody.
Wonderful.
The next question is, what does one need to keep in mind when one is getting back to coaching after a long gap of say 5 years? And can one pursue coaching as a profession on a full-time basis? So there are two parts to it. Would you like to take that, Priya?
Well, I personally feel that coming back, it's like, you know, when you are cycling and you get onto a cycle as a child and it's difficult to learn and you figure it out. Once you learn it, you don't forget it. I believe that once you've learned how to coach, you cannot forget how to coach. There's nothing really to do except maybe just revisiting the credentials, understanding, you know, is there anything that's changed? Is it all otherwise the same? Just for that, once you're a coach, you're always the coach and you're going to do a fab job. Don't worry.
Now, can I add?
I would like to add to that. Yeah, go ahead, please.
See, there are fundamental attitude or let's say capability as a coach you imbibe. And I go back to the point I was making about listening without judgment. So that is not something you switch off or switch on. You may not be doing a formal coaching practice, but it's a way of life, no matter which profession you are. So if you have become a listener and you remain a listener, then you can say, okay, now onward again, I will take coaching contracts. But if you have regressed and you have stopped being a listener, then it's not the matter of 5 years, it's the regression that you've gone through, and you need to then come back to the base zero through whatever means before you start engaging yourself as a coach.
So very well said. Once a coach, always a coach.
Yeah.
The second part of this question is, can one pursue coaching as a profession on a full-time basis? The answer to that is a big yes. And quite a few of us here are, many of us here on the panel as well as in the audience are full-time coaches. The next question is...
Puneet, can I add something to what Arvind said on that, on the coach? So the question, can one come back as a coaching? I think, you know, one thing which I have believed, even a coach needs a coach at times. Not at times, probably, you know, whenever they feel like, all the time. And I think if somebody wants to come back as a coach, feel free to approach a coach as to how do you want to come back. That can open up a lot of insights for you. And that can set the ball rolling. So definitely one should go back. And it's the passion. It's the passion that one has inside them, which should start, you know, taking them forward. So
very
that's
well. Very well. Thank you for adding that.
I think we've got just one or two questions more. I think we can take. I think that's also really cutting it fine because we're already at 5:28. There's one question that says here, how do you hold space? Would you like to answer that, Saras?
The only thing I would like to say is just go back and listen to this recording if it's made available. That's how you hold space. But to really answer your question, holding space is space and pace are very important. Space is about pace, the non-judgmentalness, and observing with curiosity and just being there. If the client wants to take their time, if the client wants to take the conversation somewhere, being with them, I think that's how you really hold space. You hold space by being with the client.
Yeah, being
And
present.
if I may add, Saras?
Yes, please.
Not have premeditated questions. Because oftentimes as a coach, if you go prepared into a session, then you are not going to be present.
Yeah.
Then you're going to be playing out what is already there in your mind, irrespective of what coach is saying. And just to debrief, Meghna and I met over Zoom call for 15 minutes just about 3-4 days ago. And Meghna asked me that, should I tell you what I'm going to take up as an issue? I said, don't, because I will lose my spontaneity. You will lose your spontaneity. And we will not do a good coaching session if we knew in advance what it is.
What this is going to be. Wonderful. Great.
So that's very important.
Lovely. Thank you both, Saras and Arvind. This has been wonderful.